Commutify presents Between the Lines with Andy Keeton. Each week, we explore the challenging issues transportation demand management professionals face on their journey to transition commuters from driving alone to more sustainable, shared, and active commuting habits. Be sure to subscribe to hear next week's episode and check out our exclusive commuter playlists on Spotify. This is Between the Lines with Andy Keeton.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a special Between the Lines episode here at the ACT International Conference in Orlando, Florida at the Walt Disney World Resort. Stick with us. We're doing something a little different this episode. We're going to be talking with several people who are speaking at the conference at panels and keynotes about what they're talking about, as well as just what's going on in the TDM space and how the ACT conference is going. So if you missed Act 21, or you came and you want to get a refresher, stick around and see or hear what we have to say. We've got some really great guests with us today, and enjoy. All right, we're talking right now with David McMaster. It's getting towards the end of the first day here, Monday, at the conference. What's been the highlight for you so far at the conference?
Well, first of all, thank you, Andy, for allowing me to join you on this. Maybe this is my highlight.
This is it.
Sure. No, for me, really, the highlight so far was the opportunity to finally get together with colleagues that I've known for years and ones that I just met after not being able to talk face-to-face and really engage for a while. Really miss my TDM friends.
Yeah, it's been really nice to put a real face to the virtual face that I've seen and meet new people, right. Catch up with old friends. You were at the welcome reception, I'm sure, last night. And
I was.
I think it was good just to see everyone in one place. This is the first time I've seen like a group of people in one place for a while. It's pretty exciting.
Exactly. That was definitely a highlight.
Yeah. And then this morning, you were on a panel called Marketing Van Pools, or
Vanpool marketing strategies.
Okay.
Right.
How'd that go? What were the key takeaways from it?
Well, I thought it was a great panel. There were three of us speaking. And one of the challenges with Vanpool marketing strategies, the word strategies, sometimes it ends up being more of a conversation about tactics. But
sure.
So it was very good, and there were a lot of interesting examples that were shared. It was kind of fun to see some of the similarities that different programs are using, which probably hints to having been at ACT conferences in the past.
But everyone's going off the same kind of rule book here.
So, I guess the key takeaways are really looking for ways to use better data to get, a little better tied in with behavior change science so that you're having a bigger impact and kind of personalizing things. And the bottom line is what was true 10 years ago, still true today, is that for Vanpool about behavior change, it's really about getting the opportunity to have a personal conversation or one-on-one conversation with someone to kind of talk through what their needs are so you can help them.
Yeah. And I just talked with Roger Millar as well for the podcast, and he had mentioned he went to that panel, found it really interesting. And Washington has the most van pools in the country, he was saying. So we'll see if he takes any of these little tidbits.
That's
takes
right.
Them back.
Well, yes, for years, those of us in the van pool industry have often looked to Washington State, for example. So that would be fun if he took some from us and went back.
I'm sure he will. And actually, speaking of him, you're also moderating the keynote kind of panel tomorrow morning. Can you tell us a bit more about what that is about? Who's going to be on it and what you'll be talking about?
Sure. It's a panel of DOT secretaries. So we have Roger Millar from Washington State DOT, and we have Aileen Velez Vega from Puerto Rico, Territory of Puerto Rico, cool. Who's the head of the DOT there. And we've asked them to share with us some of how they may have incorporated TDM into their state transportation system strategies, and also to talk about, some of the hot topics for us right now in ACT, like how are you addressing equity? How are you addressing resiliency? How are you addressing climate change? So that it's going to be an opportunity for them to tell us a little bit about what they're doing, and then for us to have a dialogue, as instead of it just being a keynote,
Yeah.
there's going to be a dialogue
Very cool.
where you'll get to ask your questions.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, I really like the keynote speaking kind of element where you have one, nice speech to kick it off. But I think that's a good idea to have kind of a keynote panel so everyone
Right.
can engage in the same panel.
It's more along the same style of what we typically use in the emerging mobility summits that we've
Right.
had in the past. And it's been well received there, where we have these panels that really engage get deeper into a topic and talk about more specific case stuff rather than just PowerPoint.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, a little more fun. Okay, so besides that, obviously tomorrow morning, what else are you looking forward to for the rest of this conference, or maybe even beyond the conference? Just what are you looking forward to over the next couple of days here?
Well, on Wednesday we'll have our award ceremony, so
Yeah.
I'm always interested in seeing recognition for people and programs that have done outstanding work in TDM. And the bar gets raised on that year after year. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see, people that you've seen maybe come in as a newcomer to the industry and now they're leading something. And even before the award ceremony, seeing people on panels and seeing people leading committees and things and going, wow, look how they've really contributed to the industry. And I remember when they just started.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. I think I'm looking forward to that as well. That's this Wednesday. We'll do the award ceremony,
Right,
like always
at
the end there.
Or breakfast, rather.
Yeah,
sorry.
breakfast. Yeah. I think that's great. So, David, I mean, thanks for being on here.
Well, thank you, Andy.
And we're looking forward to seeing the keynote tomorrow.
Absolutely. We all are.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on Between the Lines.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. And we are with Lauren Bennett right now from Genentech. And Lauren, I'd like to start off by asking just a simple question. How many of these conferences have you attended? What is this number for you?
This is number 6.
6. All right.
And
That's pretty exciting. What was your first one? Do you remember?
I do. I remember it was San Antonio, Texas.
Nice.
It was my first one. It's always held in the summer, and it was about 150
no.
degrees in San Antonio. And I decided to ride bike share to see all of the missions.
Yeah.
The San
I've done
Antonio
that.
missions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was wearing pants. I mean, I was completely unprepared, but it was so fun.
That's fun. That's great. Well, it's pretty hot here. I don't know if it's maybe as hot, but it's really humid. Like, I'm glad that we have the AC here. So I want to ask you about this panel that you're about to be on. Thanks for taking the time right before you're going to go on into this. Let me make sure I get the name right. It's called Disrupting Transportation, Biotech, EVs, and the Shared Sustainable Commute. Good name. Good job.
I put it in the hype machine, and that's what came out.
That's a good name. So what is this going to be about? What are they going to be the key takeaways?
Yes, absolutely. So the 3 key takeaways are about electrification, sharing your commuter services, and adding an equity lens to your programs. So on sustainability, electrification, we have all electrified 30 some odd % of our buses.
Awesome.
It's been very, very hard.
Yeah.
But it's very necessary, and it's been very rewarding. And the point there is, a lot of folks say the technology's not there. We're not ready. We're not ready. You could say that till the end of time, but we're ready. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone can do it now. It's very hard. Call us. We'll help you through it. But get on that now. The second piece is shared commuter programs.
Yeah.
So we are in a business park of 28,000 people. We're only 12,000 of those people. We have a transportation program. We're the only one. What do those other people do? They drive.
Yep.
They create congestion. So we have decided to open up our commuter programs. We open up our buses. And now half of those 28,000 people have access to our bus program.
That's
great. We're only scaling up from there. So the main point there is, again, this is another really hard thing to do. There's a lot of contracts. There's a lot of privacy conversations. There's a lot of outreach, but it's so worth it. It is. We're giving these employees great commuter options. They're feeling better, and we're adding more value to our program because people
Right.
are paying into it. We add more services. It is win-win-win. And then the third thing is, so Genentech has had a sustainability lens on our programs for years and years and years. And that's how we got to where we are with the sharing and the electrification. What we haven't had is an equity lens. And last year, with all the police brutality coming to light, and Tamika Butler's talk about white
Right.
TDM at the conference last year, there's a lot of powerful moments that just got our small internal team thinking, what are we doing? Well,
Right.
we're not doing anything. So, well, what can we do? And so we've just started those first few steps of learning, doing some self work,
Yep.
like trying to be aware of our biases, be aware of the biases in our programs, our blind spots, and we're like 100% not there at all. And from what I hear, this is a lifelong journey. You
Yep.
never get there, but the point there is start. Like,
Yeah.
we now know, so let's just try and do better. And the sooner you get on that journey, the better.
So this panel is like, this is hitting on all of the key things. If you need to go to one panel, this is like the best panel to go to, right?
I'm with you.
Yeah. Like electrifying your fleets, sharing your services with other companies. That's an awesome idea, first of all. And the equity piece, which is great. And I think it's good to hear that keynote from last conference has stuck with people. I know it stuck with me, thinking about like, how can we ensure that we're creating an equitable, TDM system. Yeah. So, it's, once again, ACT conferences, you get a lot out of them. Changing the world. Exactly. Okay, so that's yours. What have you enjoyed, or I guess in the morning sessions of today, because it's only been just started.
I've been to one session.
What'd you go to? Was it interesting? Like, well, that's a loaded question. You're probably not going to say no, but what did you take from it?
Yeah, so the overview of that session was there was a lot of work being done during COVID. What do we do? How do we pivot? And there was this really cool project in New Rochelle, New York.
Okay,
the epicenter of COVID.
I know that name, even though it's like
exactly. It's like, where is that? But I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Well, they had to figure out how to get all of these medical workers to a hospital to treat patients. And so they had to set up a hotel for them to live, because you can't go home because we didn't know a lot, and they were working crazy hours. And then they had to also set up transportation, and that's what these folks were talking about, is setting up an electric vehicle pilot. It ended up being a program to help these workers get from the hotel to the hospital.
Interesting. It's a cool panel. Another thing with electrification, obviously COVID's an important,
and responding in real time, having to change the rules.
It's
overnight.
doable. Yeah, if you need to do it, you can do it. This is what it's saying, right? Yeah. Like if you just decide that we're going to put in this cool pilot and this good program, we can do it. We can do it.
We can do our things.
That's so great. Okay, what are you most looking forward to for the rest of the conference / maybe outside of the conference? Just like, what are you like excited about for the rest of the next couple days?
For the rest of the conference, I'm going hard on the DEI, the diversity, equity, inclusion panels, because I'm a newbie.
Yep.
I'm a transportation planner trying to learn this in tandem. So I'm trying to that's what I'm going to next.
Nice.
And trying to learn from them. I am doing a really fun thing this Friday after the conference. I'm driving to Crystal River.
Nice.
Which is a river just west of here that manatees live in.
What?
And I'm going to go swim with the manatees.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say like, I'm doing something cool. I'm going to Disney parks. No, you're doing something way cooler. You're seeing manatees. Oh my goodness. Good choice. That is cool.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I hope they're there.
All right, send pictures.
Definitely.
All right, and then this is the last question. Since we are at Disney World, I have to ask a Disney-related question, I feel like, or like maybe I'm breaking some sort of policy or something. So what is your favorite Disney movie?
Well, so I have to admit, I'm not a super Disney buff.
That's okay.
I'm just really not. But I was on a plane to Thailand, so very long.
Yeah, so you were forced
some time. I watched a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And the only one I remember is Moana.
Oh my gosh.
It had me crying. I was so
It's a
moved.
good one.
I was like, yes, I felt so empowered. So I'm a big fan of Moana. And anytime I
Nice.
hear that song, I just like, I can
It's
start
a
to get
good
choked
song.
up.
Well, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he knows what he's doing. He wrote the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
good.
it's incredible.
And it's funny because the other person I've had on earlier this morning also said
Also,
Moana. What are the odds?
powerful.
That's pretty good. All right. Well, Lauren, this has been great. Thanks for coming
this is
on.
fun.
I'm looking forward to your panel. It's going to be really good, I think. And I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures of the manatees.
Yes. Potatoes of the Sea. I'll put it on Twitter.
Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Thanks for being
All
on.
right. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. We're with Melissa Wandall right now. Just got done with a great speech for everyone. The keynote speaker today, Monday morning at the ACT International Conference. So first, I just want to thank you for sharing your story again. For those who missed it, it was a really impactful story, kind of about the why of what we do. But could you maybe just highlight kind of what your main points are here as you're talking, and what this initiative that you're working on is? I think that'd be really helpful for people to hear.
Absolutely. So I'm grateful to be here today, and I was grateful to be the keynote speaker. And it's really important that we embrace what we do every day. We're in the transportation industry, and to be able to really love what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people are like, how can I love going to work?
Yeah.
Right? But if you really love your mission and why you're doing what you're doing,
Yep.
and that was my big talk today, is the why of what inspires us every day
Mm-hmm.
to move in our lives, that help us actually in our work as well, because they all kind of thread together.
Right.
So the importance of taking your mission for your own self, your own life, putting into your work, and basically escalating your work and those around you, which I think is really important in this day and age, is that we learn to take every circumstance we've had in our life. And even it could be bad, it could be ugly, it could be good, but make it the best that we can each and every day. So to be able to be here today with transportation, with people in the transportation industry, and say, let's do this thing together, let's empower one another to keep walking through life, is a really pretty cool thing to be able to do, and to be able to be in front of a group of audience and say, hey, you're doing great things out there. Let's do it together.
Yeah. And I think that it's why it's such a good start to this conference is everyone's working on maybe their little niche thing within transportation. And it sometimes feels hard to kind of overcome whatever obstacles get in your way. But you're, reminding us, if you have that passion, that drive, you really care about what you're doing, you can get it done even as an individual.
Right. And it doesn't matter what role you play.
Yeah.
It's like so many people think that their role is insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
There's much more significant roles than my being able to speak up in front of a bunch of people. There's so many people behind the scenes that are doing so many incredible things that nobody ever hears of it. But that's okay, because if you believe in it, we're all a part of the solution.
Yep.
But you can't do one without the other. So reminding people, it doesn't matter what you do in life, and in this industry in particular, since we're talking about it, it's not too small.
Yeah.
Keep doing it, because you're making big impact if you love it.
Yeah.
Truly.
No, that's
Truly.
the important piece.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously if people are willing to fly, to Orlando in the middle of summer, it's a little hot. Mm-hmm. COVID's still happening. There's definitely a passion there. Like, you wouldn't just come.
No, there is a passion if you're coming to Florida in the time of where the pandemic is still in the news for us here, and getting on that airplane. I think that people have a passion for what they're doing.
So, we really appreciated you coming and speaking today. Mm-hmm. I wanted to know a little bit, what about the ACT conference made you think, oh, this is a good fit? It obviously was, but what made you think this is a good place to speak?
Because I think that, it involves so much with commuter transportation, and a lot of you're all talking about, getting people to share rides and get people off the streets, or cars off the streets, because that's where all of the havoc is being wreaked.
Right.
But so for me, it was okay, but we still need to move those pedestrians onto those commuter transportation.
Yep.
So for me, it was about let's see what they're doing and how can we work together to make that happen. I'm working on day by day trying to get people to make better decisions on our roadways, right? You're working on ways to make transportation easier for people to share share those rides. So how can we can work together?
Right.
And maybe if we share those best practices with each other, who knows what we can come up with. So it was very cool for me to be able to come here and see what you all are doing too, so that I can take pieces of what you're doing and bring them into my work.
And we're both working on a parallel path here, ultimately making roads safer by taking cars off the road,
Right.
educating people who are in cars. It's all towards the same goal at the end.
It is. And when you can work with people on a common goal, of course, there's nothing better than that, knowing that you can not just impact one people, but you can impact a multitude of people.
Right.
Is really significant in our lives.
Yeah. So can you tell us, you're at the start of a week-long initiative here. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So it's National Stop on Red Week.
Cool.
August 1st through the 7th. It's National Stop on Red Week. And everybody's like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
Why would you have that kind of a week? And it's a week to remind drivers to stop on red. People are breaking safety laws and people are being seriously injured and killed every day. So it's because people are making those mindful decisions to not stop on red. So it's a week-long campaign where we actually go out to intersections in the state of Florida, or you could do it all over the nation because it's a national event, and just basically hold up signs that say, always stop on red, and wave to people, smile at them, remind them. And our law enforcement gets involved too.
Oh, that's great.
But in a good way. It's not a ticketed event.
Sure.
The law enforcement aren't like out there writing tickets.
Right.
It's about them saying, hey, we just want you to mind the rules of the road so that you can be safe. So it truly is just a week long of educating our motoring public on protecting themselves and our most vulnerable road users, which are pedestrians and bicyclists.
Yeah.
In the state of Florida, bicyclists are motorists. So we have to make sure that we're educating people on that as well. So it's a great week. At the National Coalition for Safer Roads, we have social media for every day that basically throws out statistics, and you have buttons and everything that we can utilize for social media. So it's ncsrsafety.org.
Great.
Stop on red.
Awesome. Anyone listening or watching should be definitely visiting that site.
Yes.
We'll put it in our email newsletter as well. Good luck on that. I mean, it's obviously a really important initiative to be working on, and it's cool that there's a week dedicated to it. And I love the idea of going out to the actual intersections and talking to people or talking to people with signs.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
It is. We're in a day of, we're in a computer age, right?
Yep.
And it's great. They do so many amazing things for us, but there's nothing like getting out and being eye to eye with people and reminding them just to make good choices and saying, hi, have a great day. I mean, truly, when you're out there at an intersection, people are like, what are you doing? Why are you here? What are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
But really, truly, it's just about smiling, waving, and they're going to see the sign.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to see the sign, so they know why we're out there.
Yeah.
So just make good decisions, because people's lives end in a moment. And we don't want any victims or violators.
Right.
Because neither one wins.
Right. Yeah. So moving back, I guess, to the conference here, it's obviously just started. You've given your keynote speech, and now there's a couple sessions going on right now, but we had the opening reception last night. You were able to attend. How have you enjoyed so far the one or two things that have happened?
It's been great. What I've liked about it more than anything are the people.
Yeah.
Everybody seems very friendly and open to having conversations, which is really nice. It's not stiff. You're not walking into a room where nobody wants to look at you. And half the people are masked. So it's a whole new thing. You're looking at each other.
You only see their eyes.
Yeah. That's all. You see their eyes. You can't see people smiling.
Yeah.
I guess you can see them smiling with their eyes, but not really.
Yeah.
But that's what I've enjoyed thus far. It's just being able to connect with people
in real life.
Yeah.
Not on a computer.
No,
It's
not
so cool.
on a computer, in real life, connecting with people, which I'm a geek at connecting with people face to face.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I really have enjoyed being a part of finding out what you are all doing, what you're doing to help make our streets safer too. It's pretty incredible.
Well, we've obviously enjoyed having you here. Thank you again for taking the time to come speak with us this morning. One final question, since we are at Disney World, I have to ask a question about Disney, I think. So let's go easy. What is your favorite Disney movie?
So my favorite Disney movie is Moana.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
That's a good one.
She's a fighter.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't every Disney princess anyway?
Oh,
but she's a fighter. She's gonna make sure that her land is good for her people. So I really
I see some Moana in you.
Thank you.
I think that's a good one. I think that's a good choice.
Thank you.
I'll be asking other people as well, so we'll see. We'll see what other people have to say. Maybe I don't know. Maybe others will say Moana.
I want to see the poll.
Yeah.
I want to see. I do. I want to see how many people say whatever it is, Cinderella. But no, I'm a Moana girl.
Nice, perfect. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for speaking again as well. Is a very impactful start to the event.
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Perfect. All right, so we're now talking with Roger Millar. Thank you for being here. You're going to be part of the keynote speech tomorrow, the keynote panel tomorrow morning. But I want to first get into a little bit about what you have seen and taken away from some of the other panels so far today. So what panels have you been to? What are kind of the key takeaways you've gotten from some of these things you've gone to?
Well, great question. The keynote this morning was really powerful. She spoke about, fatalities and the high impact of fatalities in her specific case, her husband, and the work that she did to change the law. And that was really compelling. Something I just did this afternoon was listening to people talking about incorporating diversity, equity, and inclusion into TDM, which is something we're doing in Washington State. So it's good to hear examples from other places and maybe some of the places where people we're learning. It's been the early days. And there was another session this morning talking about kind of marketing van pool programs. And Washington State has the largest van pool program in the country, and with COVID, I was just looking to see if there were any ideas I could take back to the great state of Washington with me.
Yeah, no, I think it's nice to be able to hear what people are doing across the country, because obviously you can pull those things back to what you're doing.
Yeah, it's one of the values of coming to a conference like this. It's the networking and the good ideas, because if it's working in North Carolina, maybe it'll work in Washington.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I'll be excited to see what you come up with in the state of Washington from van pool marketing, and we'll know. I'll say, I came back from the ACT conference.
We have 7,000 plus van pools in Washington State.
Amazing.
So it's just a matter of getting them all back up on their feet.
Right.
Post COVID.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, you're part of this keynote panel tomorrow. Tell me a little bit about what you'll be talking about, just what will the audience get from this conversation? Yeah,
well, what I'm going to be talking about with my colleague, the Secretary from the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, is just what states are doing, what state DOTs in particular are doing in the TDM space. We're perceived by a lot of people as the guys that built the big road projects. Right. And we certainly have a little bit of that in our background, but we're becoming increasingly stewards of complex multimodal transportation systems. So, you need to look at safety and state of good repair. You need to look at systems management. You need to look at demand management. And then, there's also capacity issues. But I'm going to really drill down into some of the stuff we've been talking about in the TDM space, particularly of mobility on demand, and how to incorporate more of the intelligent transportation systems into what we do, thinking way beyond computers driving cars to the whole cooperative automated transportation space. I'm also going to talk a lot about telework, because we've had great success with it in Washington State, and I think it's here to stay. And I'll talk about our agency's experience and what we're proposing to do moving forward.
I think that'll be really interesting because this is coming from, I think a lot of people have experience or kind of knowledge into maybe even city level policies, but the state level view I think is really important to look at. So I'll just kind of ask you this question here. Is there one particular program with the state of Washington that you're most proud of, that you really want to kind of brag about here?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that we've done. I mean, we have a very succccessful commute trip reduction program.
Yes, yeah,
we've had it for generations.
Right,
and,
top of the class, really.
Yeah, and we're rebuilding it, and it's now a transportation demand management program. We've created a transportation demand management executive board that I chair. That's a public-private sector board. Executives who are in that space, and then our old commute trip reduction board, which was more of a technical level of player. Sure. They're now our TDM technical committee.
Got it.
And doing that work. But we're educating our elected officials on the interest that we have. We're picking up their ideas, and we're basically working on rewriting the law to make it more about demand management in total instead of just the commute, because our commute trip reduction program is as popular as it is and as successful as it is. It's 4% of our daily trips are the large employers who are in the CTR program. If you were to expand that to all of the commuters in Washington State, it would only be 14% of the daily trips. So over 85% of the trips are they're not home-based work trips. So what we're looking at is, okay, how do we use what we've learned about commute trips and commute trip reduction? How do we use that for all the other trips that people take?
Interesting. I think that's a really, I mean, like I said, Washington is already leading the pack here in the commute trip reduction program. But I'm excited to see what this kind of can evolve into. Yeah. I think the rest of the country is kind of watching you all and just seeing what's possible. I think we'll all be excited to hear what you have to say, and the Secretary of Transportation as well from Puerto Rico, to really kind of get an idea of what we can do and what we should be telling our state's representatives as well, and our state's transportation leaders as well.
A lot of us, when you look around the country, a number of states have kind of a home rule relationship between state government and local government. And when you're home rule, you as a city or a county can do pretty much whatever you want. There are other states in the country, a majority of them, that are what are called Dillon rule states. And Dillon is some obscure 19th century person. But in a Dillon rule state, a local government can only take the actions that the state legislature specifically enables them to do. So quite often, TDM issues, mobility on demand issues, they get worked out at the state level. Right. Sometimes before local governments are even aware, that it's happening to them. And so what we're trying to do as we get into going from CTR to TDM, as we get into mobility on demand, is make sure that our state legislators and the stakeholders that are engaged are talking about the right issues as they adopt policy. Yeah. When you talk about, the whole issue of CAT, what we call CAT, Cooperative Automated Transportation. A lot of people call it connected autonomous vehicles. Mm-hmm. Connected autonomous vehicles is all about replacing the driver with a computer, right, and having a highway full of cars. Yep. A highway full of cars driven by computers is still a highway full of cars. Yeah. We're talking about cooperative automated transportation, using technology so that the modes, all the modes, are cooperating to optimize what they bring to the game. So micromobility, scooters and bike shares and stuff like that, walking, urban transit, intercity rail, cars, trucks, but everybody's there. But how do we use the technology to optimize how they interact? And it's automated. It's not autonomous, because autonomous sounds a lot Terminator to me. About that. And then it's not about the vehicle. It's about the system. So we're talking about that, and it's really hard to get people to switch away from that Tesla thing, to, you know, or that that thing driven by a computer, and it just the physics of it. We need all of our things working for us, and then the telework. For me and our agency, right now about half of my employees are teleworking. You can't plow snow from your home office, and you can't drive one of our ferry boats. The crews in the Washington State ferries, our maintenance people, our construction inspectors, they're all out in the field, and they have been, and doing really essential work, during the pandemic. But half of my team has been home. Sure. And they all want to stay home. Yep. That's what we're hearing. when you talk to them, 75+% of them want to work at home at least 3 days a week. Yeah. Going forward. And my reaction to that, our reaction to that is, okay, you got it. Yep. So we have an aspirational goal for the agency that at any given time, 40% of our employees will be teleworking. Wow. And if half of them can't, that means the ones that can, it's more like 80% of the time. I don't know that we'll get all the way to 40%, 30 to 40, but we're going to try. And we're doing it because our employees want that work-life balance. They don't want to commute. They like the idea of maybe coming in a couple days a week or coming in on special occasions. And if I can hold on to people that would leave otherwise, I'm going to try to hold on to people. Win-win, yeah. Yeah. It enables us to walk the talk in terms of reducing our commute impact on the climate, on the capacity of the system. And it reduces our costs, at least our real estate costs. Now, the IT pieces of it and the rest are quite the challenge, but we're up to it. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm excited to hear that state government is looking at this, because I think that one of the questions before the pandemic was, could telework really work? There's a lot of logistics that go into it, and sure, like a tech company startup could figure it out because they have a few employees. But if you have a big system of thousands of employees and you have intranets and whatever other security and IT you need, it's complicated, but we were forced to do it. We're forced to do it, and it worked. And we're as productive, if not more, in some cases. But working out the cybersecurity issues is important, and working out the one that we've been spending maybe the last 6 months and really drilling down into is the hybrid environment. Because if 40% of the team is teleworking at any given time, that means 60% of the team isn't. And I have managers saying, well, everybody ought to come to the office on Monday. Well, that's not going to work. Yeah. Because we're not going to have enough office. Right. You're not going to have a full office just for one day and then one day a week. Yeah. Well, and two, if everybody comes in on Monday or everybody stays home on Friday or whatever, it gets really lumpy and uneven. Yep. So we're working on, the snow is just as good on Tuesday. Yeah. And there's nobody up there. So honestly, you should want to take Tuesday and Wednesday off. Right? Why do we order a 21st century technology information driven economy around a 19th century agrarian calendar? Good question. Why are we doing that? So we're working through that. The notion of our small and medium-sized conference rooms, we're setting up for virtual environments with voice-activated cameras. And, in the industry is coming up with the tech, and it's affordable. And it's enabled us to, we've reduced our office footprint in downtown Seattle by half. Wow. Which saves the taxpayers some money. That's a lot. Because that's expensive land. And we're looking at consolidating offices around the state. Wow. If it saves the taxpayer money, if it buys us time in terms of growing the economy without having to grow the transportation system, that's a good thing. If people really like it and they're happy doing it and they're productive doing it, what the heck? Yeah, win-win-win in this case. Yep. Well, Roger, I think I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about what you're talking about tomorrow. Thanks for giving us a sneak peek, and thanks for coming on to the podcast today. No, happy to do it. Perfect. Hi, we're with Veronica Jarvis right now. So, Veronica, we're about, almost getting towards the end of the first day here. It's Monday, mid-afternoon.
in the middle of our afternoon refreshment break, I believe. But I want to ask you, I guess, how has your first conference been? It's my first conference as well, so we're
Yes.
sharing that together. How has it been so far?
Gosh, I've had a blast. And I think I have a lot of pent up missing networking. And
Yeah.
it's been beautiful to see people in person and see people's faces and just get that connection that you get in person. And I've been having a great time so far and meeting so many people. So I've really enjoyed it.
And you're like an expert networker. Like when we were walking to this room, you talked to like 3 people. It was so good. You know everyone. It's amazing.
Oh, I enjoy it.
I just want to I'll just follow behind you and I can just get in on all the
sounds good.
networks. So what has been your favorite thing so far? We've had yesterday we had the welcome reception and the first timer event, and today we've got a few different panels that have gone and the welcome opening keynote. So there's quite a bit to pick from. What's been your favorite so far?
My favorite probably was just the opening reception and getting to see so many people I'd been waiting to meet for the last year. I've met so many people, everybody, just virtually. And so just getting to see if I could pick them out of a crowd and getting to meet people on a panel I'd put together. It's just super exciting. And so that was probably my favorite so far, but I have enjoyed both the sessions I've attended today. Just picking up tiny snippets of things at each one, I feel like that is something great I can take back to my job, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of good, I was just at the DEI, equity, just good to hear people who have really been kind of entrenched in this, talking about what they're passionate about. You can learn a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of that, you are passionate, obviously, about a lot because you're on 3 panels tomorrow.
I am. Yes. Stay busy.
That is busy. That's going to be good. So let's go through them. I've got a list here. Okay. I want to just kind of talk with you a bit about maybe high level what you kind of can expect from these panels. So the first one we're both on together. Yes. So this one's fun. Yeah. It's called Be the Change, Policy, People, and Podcasts. Whoever came up with that name, was it Rob? That was such a good name. What are you going to be talking about?
So I'm going to be talking about doing outreach and interacting with your elected officials, either locally, congressional delegation, whatever it is, and just doing more outreach about your program. And I think that's something we've always struggled with in the TDM sphere is we don't have ribbon cuttings to show that we have an event. So we don't tell our story enough. And I want to encourage people to tell their story and to be comfortable doing that and to just try and find those connections, whether they be in their community or just making that first meeting with their congressperson. And I think that's a really exciting way to build your career too, to make those sort of bigger meetings. So just encourage folks to reach out.
And I remember I saw you talk about this some months ago. I reached out to Senator Michael Bennett's office in Colorado, and I got to talk to someone, and I was like, "What? This is so cool!"
Right? Right. You feel like you're part of the process. And I think that's really important for everyone. So that's what I want to encourage.
Okay, perfect. So that's good. I'm talking about podcasts, so it's not as exciting. Let's move on to the second panel.
Yes.
This one is called Using Telework as a TDM Tool for State Governments.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I know what it's about, but let's talk about that a little bit. So what are we going to be really diving into? What are the key takeaways from this panel going to be?
Yeah, we've worked a lot on telework in our own state, especially during the pandemic. I wanted to look at how some other states had also taken on telework both before, during, and after. Some of them are a little farther along than us in the pandemic. So we have Tennessee and we have Utah, and they both had pretty established telework programs before the pandemic. So they were able to launch into the program during the pandemic better. But what I want people to take away from it is how it can be an absolutely essential TDM tool for regions that have a very concentrated workforce. When you get those people off the roads, you can see such big changes in a transportation system. Just from my own city, when you took all those people, sent them home to telework, we saw our traffic volumes just go dramatically down. And that kind of thing can help you push out building a new road for 20 years. And in transportation funding, when you push out things, you're saving money in the near term. You might be putting it into inflation territory in the future, but at the same time, you're able to push out that project and save that money and hopefully do more TDM work with those transportation dollars, which is what I want.
Yeah.
Let's build more bike paths.
Yeah, more bike paths instead
Yeah.
of more roads. I like
Yes.
that. Telework's going to help us do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's panel 2.
Yes.
We're cruising through this,
Yes.
but panel 3 is, okay, this is also another good name. People are
Yeah,
really
I know,
creative with names. This is called The Great Debate, Examining Core Principles of TDM.
Yes.
Okay, what are you debating? Who are you debating? Are you debating someone?
So
what is going on?
I think we're going to have it as be more of a discussion.
Okay.
And talking about some of the core principles that we've always talked about in TDM, guaranteed ride home, maybe whatever sort of like transit matches or whatever your employer provides. And are those things still working?
Yeah.
A lot of them have been around a long time. And are those programs still good? And I was originally asked to debate, even if it wasn't your opinion, debate against the guaranteed ride home program. And I remember they asked me and I thought, I don't have anything bad to say about it. Like, we should have it. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it and started doing a little research and thought, you know what? It is so good to question these things we've always done, because once I started researching, I heard that, you know, there are some places where that program is abused and it doesn't take cars off the roads. People use it to get to work and
Sure.
from work, and they just use it as their personal taxi service. And I was like, that's not helping anyone.
Right.
So it's interesting to think what I've learned from trying to research some of these things. But I'm looking forward to the great discussion that'll come up tomorrow, and it'll be a great panel, I think.
Yeah. I think that is it's a good idea to like
Yeah.
re-examine everything that we
Right.
think is so core to
Yes.
a successful program.
Always good.
Okay, that one's particularly interesting to me. I want
Yeah.
to see what holes you all can
I
find.
know. I'm excited.
That's good. Okay. Well, those are the 3 panels you're in.
Yep. I'm
That's
excited
it's
about 'em.
just like
Be a good day.
it's gonna be a busy day for you.
Yep.
Outside of those 3 panels,
Yeah.
What else are you looking forward to for the rest of the conference? Although you're going to be like almost working as a panelist for the remainder of it.
Yes.
But what are you kind of looking forward to the rest of the next couple days?
I would say just aside from that, just the networking and socializing and just meeting my peers and things like that. I'm part of the TDM CP study group, and I still haven't found a few of my people I've met on Zoom. So I'm hoping to track them down. But it's hard. It's harder than I thought. I thought I'd run into everyone, but I haven't. So I'm looking forward to getting them.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Veronica, thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck
It's been a
to
blast.
you on
Yeah.
all 3 of your panels tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're going to kill it. It's going to be great.
Thanks.
And thanks for talking.
Of course. Anytime.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for listening or watching this special Between the Lines episode here at Act 21. We missed all of you who couldn't make it out, and happy to see everyone we could see. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast at betweenthelines.io and give us a like, a follow, anything you can on any of the podcast platforms that you may have. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. And definitely take a time to watch our video on YouTube. All of our episodes are recorded live or recorded for audio and video. So you get to really see that conversation going if you tune into the YouTube channel. And make sure to communicate with us on social media with #BetweenTheLines, and come back next week as we have a really great episode going back to our normal schedule of events. Next week we'll be talking with Peter Deppy of Commute. It's going to be a really interesting episode. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Between the Lines with Auntie Keeton. Be sure to subscribe to hear next week's episode and check out our exclusive commuter playlists on Spotify.